We're back, we're live, and we're still alive. Okay, it's Friday. It's been a long broadcast week. We've had some spectacular shows this week, and we've had some spectacular shows today. And this is a spectacular show. We have 3 studio guests, and I'll mention their names from the far to the near. Brian Sims from Team Rubicon. Did you get that right? No. Ian Ajimine. CrossFit HTF. What does that stand for?
Hightown Fitness.
Okay. And then Brian Sims from Team Rubicon. Say hi, Brian.
Hi, Brian.
Nicely done. Okay. And then Hillary Brown, who is from the Total U. Hi, Hillary.
Hi.
She's going to run for president, I'm telling you now. Okay. And our moderator, who is far away in Alameda, California, is Ted Ralston. And this is Where the Road Leads. And our title today is Resilience Through Fitness, and it means a lot. Okay, and now I'd like to get him on the screen. Ted Ralston, take it away, Ted.
Thank you very much, Jay, for handling the studio announcer role today. You do that very well. Since you own the studio, you can announce it any way you wish. But folks, it's Friday, it's 4 o'clock, it's actually 6 o'clock where we are here in Alameda. Welcome to our show, Where the Road Leads. We're talking about fitness and resilience. Resilience being what we talked about the last several weeks in a row here with HARP and community-based resilience and Hawaii exemplary state and such. And what struck me and all that is we really need to think about resilience at a very personal level, and that probably equates to fitness, among other things. Fitness mentally, fitness in our own physical condition, and fitness in understanding what foods to eat and how to operate and how to be flexible under stressful conditions is part of our total resilience. Those and to become ourselves with those who already are thinking and acting in those directions. We've asked Hillary Brown, a Pilates instructor, to come on board. We've got Ian Ajimine, who's our first-time joiner, and we got a veteran on the show, Brian Sims, also a veteran himself in other respects. Matt Biggert was going to be joining our show. Matt is an aerospace executive in California and a yoga participant, as his way of thinking about personal resilience and preparation. He's stuck on the 405 north of LA, and he probably won't make the show tonight, so we'll catch Matt at a different time. Anyway, fitness is what's tying us all together here. Fitness in the personal sense as that contributes to the community sense of fitness. So without further ado and without trying to script this too much, I'd just like to turn to our 3 practitioners we have in the studio and have them give us a view of how they see fitness in their personal lives, and fitness, how it might fit in this equation of fitness equals resilience. So following the practice of girls first, Corey, I think we turn to you.
Well, the first thing that comes to my mind is with what I do in Pilates and movement forms is the mind-body connection. So, and we take our practice in Pilates to practice for the real world. So creating, long lean muscles and agility for, aging and to function better in the world. So by doing that in relation to developing a cognitive sound mind, it really develops a full package to help you perform better in your life. So I know that I think we share the same in brain injuries, traumas, and just how fitness for me personally brought me back to life, so to say, and through the physical world, and actually brought me back cognitively as well. So just speaking from my personal standpoint, that's just a little bit about...
Tell us your story.
Sure, yes. 6 years ago, I suffered from a stroke. And...
I'd like to add to that. I'd like to interject for a little bit here. Those who aren't aware of what Pilates are might want to have a brief explanation of what that is. I tell you, Jay, Margie, as you know, is a fitness and athletic competitor person, and she got me into Hillary's Pilates class. I had no idea what to expect. Typically, you think fitness and exercise and workout is the heavy equipment down at the gym. There is no heavy equipment in the world of Pilates. It's your own body weight and your body framework and your body posture that become the resistance element, the primary one that you're dealing with. It's an incredible experience, and I wish I could express it as well as Hillary can instruct it. And so, Hillary, let's ask you to explain to the people on the show here, in the audience, what Pilates is all about.
Well, Pilates is all about lengthening and strengthening your smaller muscles to support your bigger muscles, and then correcting poor movement patterns and posture patterns to help facilitate your structure against gravity all day and make you better at everything else you do. So people come to us, athletes, paddlers like Margie, that want to increase their game, and their football players and tennis players and surfers, and mostly what I see is pain recovery. So we teach them how to use their bodies on either the equipment or their own body weight, spring resistance, and it helps, like I said, strengthen and lengthen the smaller muscles and teach you how to move properly and make you better at everything else you do. So that's just a little something.
And then you had mentioned a little bit you mentioned the brain injury. I don't want to open that too far, but the concept of mental well-being associated with the physical well-being. Tell us a little bit about that journey that you've been on.
Well, me personally, as I said, cognitively, it was a long road to recovery. And I grew up being a dancer and a dance instructor, and I have a dance studio. So not being able to, and being paralyzed on one side, I really had to use that mental connection to get in touch with my physical side. So for me personally, that's where I made leaps and bounds in my recovery, was because I had to be very introspective about where my body was in space and relearn all that over again. That's where Pilates really taught me how to move again, and then got me back to dancing. So that's just a little bit of it.
We have Hillary and Pilates on one side of Brian. We have Ian on the other side from the CrossFit domain. Why don't you tell us about the same level of information on CrossFit, Brian, Ian, and how you got into that and what it means to you?
I got into CrossFit. I'm a former Army Ranger, and so for us, we were doing a lot of CrossFit, maybe CrossFit style workouts, to kind of get us prepared for what we had to do. And so that's kind of what introduced me to CrossFit. I was just a bodybuilder type of lifter and whatnot. But when I got into CrossFit, it was more functional. You could use it on a day-to-day, whereas if I was just lifting weights, it didn't really prepare me for the missions that we had, or just my day-to-day activities. So that kind of got me into CrossFit.
Do you see a crossover into the self-socialization or the mental preparation that Hillary talked about as you think about the CrossFit situation relative to bodybuilding, for example?
I'm sorry,
sorry, it was too complex a question perhaps, but Hillary talked about the understanding of the body functions and how it allows you to actualize your own behavior in recognition of your body structure through her experience in Pilates. Do you see in CrossFit the same type of awareness of the structural function above and beyond just the weight training aspect through CrossFit?
I'll try to answer that the best I can. Yeah, CrossFit really pushes you past what you think that you could do, right? And when we do CrossFit, a lot of times people come in and they're like, well, can't do that. And then so we kind of push them past. We teach them how to move better through stuff and we try to link it to what they do during the day. Kind of getting lost, I think, right? In the question.
Okay, that's pretty good. So it's kind of like similar to what Hillary was talking about in terms of Pilates. It's not just the bodybuilding function or the weight training function. It's a general preparation for your body and its function during the day. That's pretty interesting. And now, Brian, you've been dealing with CrossFit a little bit, and maybe we'll get you into Pilates at some point in time. You'd be a great guy to compare the two, and your background is such that you understand the physical aspects of your military career had a lot of that involved. Talk to us a little bit about how you would see CrossFit and Pilates working together in your case.
Well, I think that the best way I could see both of them coming together would probably be in the fact that CrossFit does work a lot on your core. That's one of the main things that it works on. Pilates kind of does the same thing. So I think that there's a great marriage in there between both of them. A varied workout schedule will absolutely be the best way to go. Studies have proven that high intensity interval training is the best type of training that you can do for anyone, including the elderly. So I would say that maybe a CrossFit style workout a couple times a week along with Pilates, that would probably be one of the best regimens as someone that's injured in the way that I was injured with back injuries and such, or maybe they're not as fit as some of the other people that have been working out for a long time. That would be a great way to get them a little bit more fit and get them back in the game.
So then let's talk about the Wounded Warrior program a little bit. I know it's very close to Hillary's heart at this point in time, and tell us how you intend to go forward, Hillary, with the Wounded Warrior program and the injection of Pilates into it.
Well, we were approached at Harmony Pilates, where I teach, and by the Wounded Warrior program, and they just opened their office here in Hawaii. And they like to feature a section of their philosophy, and this quarter it's fitness. And they want to introduce the Wounded Warriors into Pilates and offer that service to them. So I stepped up to volunteer my time for the Wounded Warriors because I feel like I have a soft place in my heart for the warriors, and that I understand cognitively what happens with brain injuries and the long road to recovery physically as well as cognitively. And I really think that the mind-body connection and that form, just introducing that to people might give them a little bit of what I went through in saving myself, I guess. So I'm really excited about working with them and just excited to get to know these people that I really have a soft spot for. So
we're going to take a short break, Ted. That's Ted Ralston, who is the host of this program, and he's on Skype in Alameda, California. And we have Ian Ajimine, I'll get it, Ajimine, CrossFit HTF, and Brian Sims, Team Rubicon, and Hillary Brown, the Total You. And this is the program called Where the Road Leads, and this episode is called Resilience Through Fitness. We'll find out more on the other side of this break.
Hi, my name is Andrew Howard. I'm an astronomer at the Institute for Astronomy at the University of Hawaii up in Manoa. I'd like to tell you about the annual open house that we're having. This year it is on April 6th, 11 to 4 p.m. It's an all ages event, kids, grown-ups, even people in between, everyone is welcome. We have a lot of really fun activities. You get to meet astronomers, look at yourself in an infrared camera, play with Legos, make robots, look at videos. You can even some of the kids like to make comets out of gravel and snow. Even adults like to do that too. You'll be able to look at the sun with a solar camera safely. It's really a great activity. We do this every year in April, and I hope to see you this year. Thanks.
Okay, we're back. We're live. We're here with Ian Ajimine, CrossFit HTF, and Brian Sims, Team Rubicon, and Hillary Brown, the Total You. And our host is in Alameda, California, joins us by Skype. That's Ted Ralston here on Where the Road Leads, and we're talking about resilience through fitness with these guys. Ted?
Thanks a lot, Jay, for bringing us back. And folks, what we're talking about here again is resilience, and the fitness contribution to resilience on a personal level as part of our total evolution of fitness at the community level. So many thoughts come to mind from what the conversation we just had here. We had Hillary talking about Pilates and what it meant to her. Ian talked about CrossFit and what that meant to him, something very similar. Brian's kind of trapped between the two of them, and we decided to work on Brian in both directions, and maybe even including him in the Wounded Warrior program, which Hillary just began talking about. But I'll tell you the questions I came up with just sitting here listening to this. First, on a very personal level, my wife and I both participate in outrigger canoe paddling and racing, and we've been doing this for, I don't know, how many years, honey? 100 years, if you add them up together or something like that. And the one thing that's really necessary in that sport, I think, to do it right is a better understanding of some of the physiology aspects. And so I'd like to invite the three of you, and Jay, you're welcome to come as well. We'll go out in an outrigger in Kailua Bay sometime very soon, and we'll understand what that system's all about in terms of the forces and the body motions and such, and see how we can do to improve the coaching through both Pilates and CrossFit as applied to outrigger canoeing. I'd love to invite you to, let's do that, and I'll buy lunch. But that's a very
So let me get this straight. You're inviting us all to the Outrigger Canoe Club in Waikiki for a nice lunch. They have canoeing there. I know they do, yeah.
Jay, you heard that just a little bit wrong. I'm inviting you to an exercise session on Kailua Bay in an outrigger canoe, after which I'll buy you lunch.
It must be the connection, yeah.
Okay, but secondly, and we'll get into these later, how do we take these great ideas and expand them to the community level? You know, we don't do physical training in community circumstances. We have meetings in conference rooms. We don't really have PT associated with that. We don't even have physical education in schools anymore, by and large. So we think we have an obligation in front of us to stand these opportunities or these opportunities up in front of people in some way to get them to participate. So I'm not sure what the recruiting method is, but it's obviously something we really need. And in particular, because it affects the mind-body combination. I like the way you put that, Hillary, the mind-body combination. We spend a lot of time on our minds, and we don't really think about the connection all that much. Certainly I don't, and I appreciate you. By the way, anybody who wants to go to Hillary's class, be ready for on the way to look at the way your body should position itself. And she's talking about position differences of a quarter inch in some cases, and it's heartening to see that someone is actually able to see that and help us all out. So I appreciate what you're doing, and I think there's a lot of opportunity here for pushing this forward. So let's talk about the Wounded Warrior program, kind of where that came from, how you're going to recruit people into it, who can join it, how do they contact you, how can Brian, how can Ian, how can I help you as you move forward in that endeavor, Hillary?
Well, I believe our warrior classes are starting in March, and they're going to be at Harmony Pilates and physical therapy. So I believe they're twice a week, and Harmony Pilates is located in Aina and also in Kailua. So all they would need to do is just contact the studio, or the Wounded Warrior program will set them up to come see us. Now, normally when you get into a Pilates class on the equipment, you have to take at least 2 private lessons, just because there's a lot of safety issues and a lot of terminology and things that could go bad. So, but with this program, the Wounded Warrior can join these classes and then jump over into other classes if the instructors see fit. And I think with the Wounded Warrior program, the office here is going to be in charge of recruiting the initial Wounded Warriors, and then it's just word of mouth. And we would love to have anybody, and they own Wounded Warrior just is specific to veterans. They call them the Warriors, and after 9/11. So if you're a veteran after 9/11, then you can be a part of the program.
Would that include people in the fire department, police department, this sort of thing? Or
I believe so.
Okay, so any public service, be it federal or state, local, or civil.
I could be wrong, but from my understanding, I believe that to be true.
Okay. What we ought to have is, while she's thinking about other things, have Zuri type up a contact number, contact information here to put up on the screen, so people watching this can find out how to connect in.
Okay.
And
what
so
exactly would that number be?
I don't know. I have it on my phone. If I can pull it out.
We'll give you
Do it during the break. We'll do it.
And there is a Wounded Warrior office, I think is what I heard you say, in Hawaii now.
Yes.
So that's another place people can just Google on Wounded Warrior Hawaii, I presume, and come up with some information. Mm-hmm. Brian, have you had the experience of contacting that bunch in any way?
I have. Back on the mainland when I lived over there, Wounded Warrior projects all over the place, and being from Florida, that's where their headquarters is at. So that gave me a chance to really interact with them a lot. They got me free CrossFit memberships. That helped. Sometimes it can be a little expensive, but in my opinion, for me, CrossFit is the best way to go. They term it functional fitness, and that's what I need daily in my life. I need to be able to bend down and pick things up. You know, I need to be able to move around quickly. I need to be able to get up and down quickly. I need to be able to climb over things, especially having, you know, being someone that works in the emergency management sector. So that's one of the reasons why I choose CrossFit as my primary physical regimen.
You know, Hillary, you mentioned something interesting in your early discussion. You mentioned about the need to be more conscious of the Pilates aspects and mind-body connection as we age. Some of us here on this program, such as those sitting at the table, aren't aging yet. But some of us who are sitting here in Alameda, California, are aging seriously. And I can certainly understand what you're talking about, and I appreciate that. I've been more conscious just in the last 3 weeks of things like balance and the effects of balance on us. So the concept of personal resilience and fitness really makes a very strong tie, especially as you get older. And so I appreciate you heading me in that direction. The other discussion we wanted to have on here, once again, is personal resilience as a necessary ingredient within the community resilience. And I'd like to explore that for a little bit. We don't have physical education in many schools. We don't have any organized public way of getting that mind-body connection awareness going on. We talked, Brian, about having a hybrid tabletop and physical exercise as part of our community resilience work. I wonder if the community could tolerate some kind of a fitness-related component to that kind of resilience activity. You know, it's just something we don't do in this country very well, and I'm just searching for how we might push that forward. How do we gain awareness at the community level of the need for attention to fitness, even as small as just a couple of minutes a day as it might be, in order to feed the larger community-based resilience? I'm just going to reposturing the question in front of you. You're all deeply embedded in the fitness aspect, and so you see it from without even thinking about it, you see it. Those of us not in that don't see it to the clarity you see it. So we've got to do something to promote and advertise this notion of personal responsibility in fitness. I'm saying it all over again here. Personal responsibility in fitness as a function of resilience, as a function of community resilience. Anybody want to take that on?
I'll try it. First, I think that is a huge problem, trying to get people motivated. Honestly, the country, all around the country, all around the world, we've tried many different ways to get people motivated. I don't know of any one way that's motivated anyone any more than, you know, where they're at right then. And I have to say Hawaii, at least Oahu, from what I've seen, they're pretty fit here. Everyone's either doing CrossFit or doing marathons all the time and stuff like that. So I think that Hawaii itself probably sits in a better position to be, I guess you could say, functionally fit for resiliency.
And your thoughts, Ian?
Yeah, honestly, I think it's more a personal responsibility. We can talk to you about fitness. We can try to sell you on what we do, but really I think it's a personal choice, you know, to come in and actually try it out, you know. So we can talk to somebody, and if they're not really willing to try it out, I don't think they're going to come in. But I think if they understood, you know, the importance of physical fitness and how much it leads, you know, into just a easier day-to-day life, right? And then, you know, we're talking about as you get older, it's investing. It's like investing your money. You know, you have to invest in your body. your muscle is use or lose. If you're not using them now, you're gonna be sorry a little bit later in life, you know? So definitely, I honestly think it's a personal responsibility. We can do our best to try to sell it and convince people to come in, but at the end of the day, it's your choice.
Hillary?
I think that there's lots of ways that we can be involved in the community. Like at Harmony, we offer free classes, free intro classes. I know CrossFit does the same thing. Just getting ourselves out there and being part of communities, doing exchanges, workshops to educate our instructors better, and free classes, and just promoting those and just spreading the word amongst our community, and then it kind of filters outward. For example, you know, Margie brought you in, Ted, and that now you're spreading it further and further. And so I feel like that word of mouth and personal experience is one of our best tools to help communities in, or people, someone comes injured to me from, you know, a back injury with canoeing, or I get a lot of CrossFit injuries and yoga injuries, believe it or not. And so then just spreading that word amongst other communities and just kind of like an interweaving of each other. So I don't know if I answered your question, but I tried.
That's really great. Now this makes me think, are there like entry-level experiences people can have in CrossFit and Pilates where they can just test the waters for an hour like that, or half hour? Is there some way that we could create attractive iPhone applications or something that allow this to be experienced in some way? But don't everybody talk at once.
You know, CrossFit the beauty about CrossFit is it's scalable. So anybody can do it. And you can really do it anywhere at any place. You know, you just go out to the beach and do some push-ups, do some squats, some sit-ups, and some sprints. Definitely think that an app might not work as far as CrossFit uses a lot of equipment, you know, so an app, there are CrossFit apps that create workouts for you that if you do have some equipment, you could do it at home. But I always encourage people to come into the gyms because to have that coach there, that trainer there to make sure that you're doing it right, to watch you, to fix anything, you know, any questions you have, that person there to answer them is very important in CrossFit. I think that that's why we have injuries. You know, people see it on TV, ESPN, and they're like, you know what, I'm going to do that at home or in my regular gym. And then I think injuries happen, right?
Now that's Ian Ajimine, CrossFit HTF. What's HTF stand for?
Hightown Fitness.
Thank you. Okay, and Brian Sims, Team Rubicon, and Hillary Brown, the Total U. And our host is in Alameda. He's Ted Ralston. Joins us by Skype here on Where the Road Leads, talking about resilience through fitness. And when we get back, I'm hoping we'll talk about what resilience is on a community level and what it means to us to have, you know, a critical mass of people fit in a given community, given the fact that we have climate change coming soon to a continent near you. Okay, this is ThinkTech. We'll be right back.
Hi, aloha. My name is Chris Leatham, and I have host a show called The Economy and You. The show plays every Wednesday at noon. And on my show, I bring on guests who are interested or working in the technology space. And so I'd like you to come and watch the show and learn with me about all the sorts
We
of
only have one space, right?
we're doing in Hawaii.
Do you have any space?
Grow our economy ecosystem. So I'd like to say aloha, and I look forward to seeing you on the show.
No space.
Thank you.
Okay, we're back. We're live. We're here, and we're gonna give those telephone numbers orally.
Oh, okay.
Have them? Why don't you look? while Ted takes us into the next session. So we have here Ian Ajimine, CrossFit HTF, Brian Sims, Team Rubicon, and Hillary Brown, who's looking through her iPhone to find the number. We're going to give you the number we promised to give you. And we have Ted Ralston in Alameda on Where the Road Leads. I'm talking about resilience through fitness. Ted, take it away.
Thanks, Jay, and welcome to the last segment of our show for today, folks. And one of the things we like to do toward the end of the show is ask our guests to state what they would like to have the audience take away from the conversation of the episode. So about that little bit, don't feel any pressure. And in the last couple of minutes, we'll ask you for that kind of a farewell statement. And of course, it isn't all that farewell because we'll get you back on again. However, what we're talking about is resilience as created by fitness at the personal level as a necessary ingredient to fitness at the community level. We have to be very careful with this because it's a personal and sensitive subject, and some people may not want to get into fitness. They don't want to have a different approach towards resilience, but I think it's worth testing, it's worth trying. Ian reflected on the fact that it takes personal commitment. Brian went through that same explanation, and so the question is, how do you get that personal commitment? We've all gotten there through some external forcing function. What goes through my mind is that at these various community events again, we probably need to have a personal fitness function. And it probably shouldn't just be one or the other. It should be the two of you, the three of you, our yoga friends and others. We're probably missing some big people at this table who represent other forms of fitness that also generate the mind-body connection that we need to think about. And I'm sure there's a half a dozen of them. Certainly outrigger canoeing is one, karate and such. So I'm just kind of mumbling out loud here that what I'll do is I'll approach the Waimanalo HARP organization and our CERT organization and test the waters with them. Can we realistically and practically bring forward some kind of a starting entry point awareness of the criticality of personal fitness to the larger resilience equation, just as we've brought forth the questions of being ready for a tsunami plan, for example. A tsunami plan is one thing, but a personal plan is the other. So I'm encouraged, and it's fantastic you say, Brian, from your perspective, that Hawaii is a good place to start because you've got a pretty far down a learning curve in that direction. Which then leads to the kind of question, how do you measure things like fitness? How do you measure your level of readiness? And you can probably never stop going to the gym if you want until something breaks. But two professionals sitting at the table here, Hillary and Ian, how do you think of measuring someone's penetration of the domain of fitness?
Oh, well, in CrossFit, a lot of times, and this ain't for everybody, but CrossFit, they test fitness by competitions and stuff like that. And it's really fun, competition pushes you and brings the community, the CrossFit community, definitely closer together. But as far as testing your fitness, there's so many different ways, we can do it. Go out on a run, how much can you lift? Can you move a certain way? Testing your flexibility / mobility, stuff like that. But we can do some blood tests, right? Show cholesterol is really good. But I think that's kind of a hard question to answer, how's your fitness, or how can we test your fitness, right?
Well, from my experience, it's just, from what I hear from my clients is, oh, I noticed that when I pulled my hatch down on my car, it wasn't as heavy. Or, I can lift my groceries, or I went to fall and my foot stepped out and my clothes fit better. I have better energy. Just those personal feats are priceless. And that's what makes me so joyful in what I do is these little feats, and then they just start a whole new, buildup of personal change in my experience. So I feel like that's a way of measuring. It's just personal experience. I'm sleeping better, I'm eating better, and it's just like this chain effect. So. And
all of those things you said, and the strength components and such and the performance components that Ian talked about, all fit with the bigger issue here. How does that make us more resilient at the community level?
Well, I wanted to say that I get tested every day that I go into CrossFit. We do what's called a WOD, a workout of the day, and sometimes those repeat themselves. So the next time that it gets repeated, I can see exactly where I was before, and did I complete it in more time? Did I use more weight? Whatever that might have been. In fact, CrossFit actually, they have things called benchmark WODs. So we can keep repeating those and seeing different parts of your body you might be working out, but, you know, lower body, upper body, things like that. And how are you getting strength in there? Are you more flexible in certain, you know, situations? Even down to mentally, can I keep count? Can I keep track of how many repetitions that I'm doing? So that's one of the ways that I see how it tests me, and it can be tested on other people.
Well, that, once again, it goes to the mind-body issue, and I don't know if you could hear me when I began talking a minute ago, but my thought was that that there's a obvious and clear connection between personal fitness and your personal resilience and your ability to support the community in time of disaster or time of need. We as responders, or we as assistants, can go farther. We can risk ourselves less, and therefore help the other people more. And the more fit we are, conversely, as a group, the less we depend on the recovery people to help us move forward. So there is that connection. Maybe it's unmeasurable, but it's there. And so I do think, and repeating myself here again, which I do a lot, but getting the resilience community to understand this, and then starting to promote a personal fitness commitment, even at an entry level, is a really interesting and novel idea. And it really puts a value on the fitness aspect that certainly I did not see before. And I hope you'll be backing me when we go do this, because it is certainly penetrating an area that probably hasn't been penetrated before. So this is, to me, a fascinating outcome of our discussion. And before we leave you all or lose you all, I'd like to ask our three guests, and I will turn to our station announcer, Jay Fidel. Please tell us, starting girls first, then we'll go down to Brian and Ian. What would you like to have the people who listen to this show, watch this show, take away from the minority? And also, don't forget to promote Wounded Warriors and Pilates.
Thank you. I think the most important thing that anybody can take away from today is it doesn't, your physical goals don't need to be overwhelming, and it doesn't need to be with Pilates or CrossFit or yoga or any, it just needs to be personal, a personal connection, and anything is obtainable. Just start small and try not to get overwhelmed, and just take one day at a time, and you know, build yourself into a community, or get yourself involved in a community where you can help support it. I know CrossFit is really good about that. And just take it small, and don't get overwhelmed. One day at a time. Baby steps.
Okay, so a piece at a time, a little step at a time, each step a little bit more progressive than the next, and then you'll suddenly see this, or you'll slowly see this change, maybe suddenly see the change, and then that'll lead you in further directions. So take it a step at a time. Don't be overwhelmed, and don't set too high an expectation for yourself on that first day. That's really good, because now I feel better about being in your class and being able to have low expectations for myself as I progress through it. Brian, your thoughts, sir?
So I would say that if you could get people started on high intensity interval training, be it CrossFit or any other type, that's probably the best way to approach it. Those types of workouts usually no more than about 20 minutes. So you're not taking on a very large fitness exercise program for that day. So just basically committing yourself to about 10 to 20 minutes each day will get you going, even if it's just walking around the block. So small things like that. And then bringing in other organizations like, let's say, HHRARP, just like in the military or other programs, you know, doing some type of PT type training when they do their meetings. I think that would be excellent to get those organizations physically prepared for the resiliency when a disaster does approach our way.
That's interesting, Brian. What you're saying is this almost replaces what we don't have in school anymore, which we used to call physical education. What you outlined is what PE used to be in school years ago. Now, you are all probably too young to remember when they had PE in school, but those of us who aren't young can certainly remember that. So that's a really great identification of the value of physical education, and I appreciate you bringing that up because it's missing in our school system today, and we need to do something about that. And we're going to get your phone number. Hillary is going to give us a phone number to connect with the Wounded Warriors in some way, form, or other here before we go. And Ian, your thoughts, please.
I definitely agree with Hillary and Brian. Just got to start small. When you come into CrossFit, I always try to explain that, you know, just don't worry about what everybody else is doing. Just worry about yourself. You know, start real small. Maybe, you know, we use a lot of weights, so just an empty barbell, 20 pounds, you know. You don't have to run the full length of what we run. Maybe walk, jog, but you just got to start somewhere. So I think they pretty much hit the nail on the coffin. Start small, that's where you go.
Okay. And to our studio announcer, Jay Fidel, what did you hear in the show, Jay, that you take away from it?
Well, you know my interest from before the show began. I believe that if the community is going to be resilient, that's my definition of resilience, and be prepared for life-threatening disasters that are coming soon, then the community ought to be in better shape. There will be a selection of the fittest, and I mean that in the way you use the term fittest, and the fittest will survive in that disaster. So there's all kinds of reasons. It's to help your fellow man or woman, and it's also to survive yourself. So that's my way of looking at all of this, and I think it's valuable in that context.
And let's now make sure we hear the phone numbers. So, Hillary, you're able to produce a phone number here to people to contact?
So it's 263-0343.
So 263-0343.
Correct.
And that is the Wounded Warriors organization?
No, that is Harmony Pilates. So
Harmony.
I don't have the Wounded Warrior number, but that's a way that you can find out more information, and we can direct you further from there.
Okay, so we're encouraging all Wounded Warriors from any walk of public service, be it military, be it civil, be it other federal, local government, to contact you through that number. Say it once again.
263-0343.
Okay, Ted, we're about out of time, so let me say farewell. That was the voice of Hillary Brown, the Total You. Very interesting discussion with her. And Ian Ajimine at my far left from CrossFit HTF, and Brian Sims, Team Rubicon. All you guys look so fit, damn it. And you too, Ted, you look fit too. And so does Margie, by the way.
Yes,
that's Ted Ralston, our host in Alameda. What do you want to say, Ted?
I was going to say that I agree with you, and we'll take this thing with great courage together forward and see if we can't get a higher level of appreciation of fitness as a component of readiness and resilience into the larger community. Thank you very much for this great inspiration, folks, and have a good Friday the 13th, everyone.
Where the road leads, resilience through fitness. Aloha, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.